welcome to Backyard Farmer. I'm Kim Todd. Happy you could join us for our very final show of this season. We've got a lot of questions to get to. If you'd like to contact us, just dial 1-800-676-5446. You can also still send us emails. We will not be answering those on the air, though. That address is byf@unl.edu. We will continue to post all our content and our videos this fall and winter on the YouTube channel. So head over there, subscribe, so you can keep up with Backyard Farmer in the months to come. You can also give us a like on our Facebook page for the latest in gardening news and announcements, so we're not here, but we're in your living room or on your phone or somewhere. All right, so first questions go to you, Wayne. These are fun. They come to us, 2 pictures from Morrill, Nebraska, and he knows what they are, and you do too, but what are those, and is there anything that can be done on whatever this is on an oak tree?
Well, they're woolly oak galls, and that second picture gives the reason why they're called woolly. They look like little fuzz balls of wool underneath those leaves. They're caused by a cynipid wasp. Nothing to worry about. Most of our galls that we have on our oak trees are nothing to be concerned with, and you just watch it happen, have some fun.
Enjoy it, in other words.
Yeah.
Or not. You have one picture on the next one, Wayne. This is an Omaha viewer. He says they have these gnat-like bugs that form columns around their backyard plants. They're entertaining, but he's wondering what they are, and that's really kind of a neat picture that he took.
That is a great picture, and they do this more than just landscaping around. They'll do it over fence posts, they'll do it over people fishing on a riverbank or a bank of a lake. These are likely gnats or midges or some other small flying fly-like creature. And they do this in order to find each other. And so, family show, so I won't explain what's going on, but that is what they're there for. So probably nothing to worry about, but enjoy the show.
All right, excellent. One picture on the next one also. This is an Omaha viewer. She's simply saying, what is this insect? And I think our viewers can see it up there on that white phlox.
Yes, that is a snowberry clearwing moth. It is one of the few day-flying hawk moths. So you'll see those out in broad daylight. So
is his pupal stage or his caterpillar stage a good guy or a bad guy?
Unless you have snowberry in your landscape, not a problem.
Okay.
Snowberry can be a problem overtaking some pasture areas. So it's a good guy, it helps keep things in check.
All right, excellent. And one more. This is also, is this insect harmful, I do believe. Obviously it's lost a leg or two, but what is that? And is it harmful?
That is a western conifer seed bug. They eat the seeds from conifer trees. Nothing to be too concerned about unless you want to grow conifers from the cones that you get from your conifers.
All right, excellent. Terry, one picture on the very first one. This one didn't tell us where she took the picture, but she said a fuzzy-leafed plant came up in the garden, and then it did this. Is this a flower? Is this a weed? She did say it seems to be really aggressive.
Yeah, it is a little bit aggressive. This is mullein. So this is, usually we see it a lot in pastures. It is a biannual, so you're actually gonna see like a rosette first, and then the first year, then it's gonna kind of sit there, it's gonna overwinter, and then the second year, you're gonna get that big seed head. It can be sometimes up to 5 feet tall. Some people don't like them, some people like them. It's gonna be your decision if you wanna keep them or get rid of them. They'll have a very deep tap root, so you might wanna get more than just the trusty soil knife to get it out.
So dig it out rather than spray it with those fuzzy leaves?
Yeah, with the fuzzy leaves, spray sometimes doesn't work quite as well, so you might wanna just try to dig them out.
All right.
And leave some, they're nice and they're a good pollinator, so Wayne would be happy with them around.
One picture on the next one also. This is an Omaha viewer. She says she has this in her yard along with regular grass. How does she get rid of this without hurting the rest of the lawn?
Yeah, I think this is brome, so I'm not, you're gonna have to basically kill the grass where it's at in order to get rid of this, or you're going to have to hand dig it out. So one of the two. You could try some mesotrione. I probably wouldn't do it anymore this time of year because we're just getting way too late into the season. So if you want to put like a flag down or someplace where it was at, and so you can remember where it's at and get it earlier in the spring, then that would probably work. But not a lot you can do anymore this year. Just make sure it doesn't go to seed.
All right, one picture on the next one. This one comes to us from Lincoln. She thinks this is ryegrass taking over her little blue stem, all but smothering it. Is grass begone safe to use around little blue stem or even effective against ryegrass?
So the chemical in grass begone is effective on rye. However, it can be also effective on the little blue stem. I did do a little bit of kind of deep diving into some trials, and they said that it will affect the bluegrass sometimes, but sometimes not. So my suggestion would be to kind of cut it down as much as you possibly can and control it. And again, we're getting closer to the end of the season, so those big plants aren't going to get controlled as well anymore now anyway. So I would probably make sure you keep an eye on it. If you are going to control it by a chemical, do it early in the spring.
All right, and two pictures on the next one. This comes to us from Omaha. He has one of the maiden grasses, a zebra grass variety, and it's sort of flopping all over the place rather than standing up straight. He's divided a third of it. He's wondering, is this a fertilizer issue? He doesn't know why it doesn't stay upright.
So oftentimes this is either it's getting too big, or if when you divide it, you want to make sure that you're getting kind of that dead center out also. But we've also had some good luck in the backyard farmer garden where about mid-June, 1st of July, Kim and I argue about this, the timing. But if you can cut it back by about a third, that will actually kind of stiffen it up a little bit, and it'll kind of stop some of that flopping. But a lot of the flopping happens because of the rain, and we had lots of rain earlier in the season, and that was probably part of the problem.
All right, thank you, Terry. Kyle, one picture for your first one here.
Yeah.
She says, this is Lincoln, a yellow/darkening spot at the top of a developing watermelon. She's had some normal ones to harvest.
So I have never seen a hairy watermelon, and this looks like a hairy watermelon. And I don't think anyone else on the panel has seen a hairy watermelon. And so if you still have the sample, especially since you're in Lincoln, I would be very intrigued to take a look at it. Feel free to bring it by the clinic. I guess not tomorrow, but any time next week. Very, very curious. I just don't know. It's, we thought maybe that it had rotted and there was fungal growth, but they really look like hairs to me. So unless you took it to unless you gave it Propecia, or I don't know, gave it a wig, I am at a loss for this one.
So bring it in.
Bring it in,
All
yep.
right. Two pictures on the next one for you, Kyle. This comes to us from Carney. She's been growing black diamond watermelons. The fennels are dry, the green color is duller, the bottom isn't as bright, and then there's this white streak down the center, and the seed area is mushy, like it's almost overripe.
Yeah.
They're big melons, 35 pounds, so what's she doing wrong here?
I don't think she's necessarily doing anything wrong, but I think that's maybe just nature. And so this strikes me as some sort of uneven ripening, especially when we have that really thick center piece, but it's really mushy on the inside too. A lot of things can cause uneven ripening. So weather conditions, there can be some fertility things. Also heat, we did have pretty severe heat about 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. That could be an issue. There are some diseases as well. One of them is gummy stem that can lead to some uneven ripening. But without having more of a sample or seeing those vines, can't tell you more than just uneven ripening.
I think you just want a piece of watermelon to eat.
I would love some watermelon to eat.
Okay, one picture on the next one, Kyle. This is Battle Creek. 2 pictures of summer squash. They were yellow all summer, did very well, and now the vine is wilting and the squash are green with all these little yellow things.
Yeah, it's just going through puberty. It has acne. This is one of our mosaic viruses on squash. So squash gets cucumber mosaic, squash mosaic, watermelon mosaic, papaya mosaic. There's a lot of different viruses that squash can get that cause similar symptoms to that. So we just kind of get some of those bulbous yellow areas. As far as edibility, they are fine to eat. The texture may be a little bit off, but you are more than happy to eat them. So I guess have some watermelon and lumpy squash. Sounds like a great salad to me.
Lovely, lovely. Scott. Okay, Scott, you have 3 pictures on the first one. This comes to us, this is really fun, from Sun City, Arizona. His mother has a home there, pink grapefruit tree, decades old, showing severe decline. She's wondering removed and replaced, but she thinks we know as much as possible about this as opposed to people in Arizona.
I'm touched that you set that in because I had to do a little bit of digging. This city is just really south of Phoenix, and if you've been watching the news, they've had 113 days of heat over 100 degrees. That's definitely a stressor. However, there is a disease out there called foot rot, and it doesn't have any positive outcome. The best thing to do is work with the Arizona University. They do have a plant clinic, so just reach out to them, and I'm sure they could give you a little bit better answer than I can.
Other than cut it down.
Other than cut it down.
All right. One picture on the next one, Scott. This one, the oak only had leaves on a few branches. Some of the branches leafed out, others didn't. This is the first year this has happened, no disease. She's only watering with underground sprinklers. So what do we have here?
One of the things that we forget about is that we've been in a drought for the past 3, maybe 4 years. And when we water with an irrigation system, we often just water the grass. And when you look at the grass root system, we have a root system that is about as big as the screwdriver right here, maybe. All right. Anyways, yes, there we are. We have a root system of about 3 to 6 inches. And when we want to water trees, we want to water to the length of this screwdriver. Drought compounds in trees. It stresses out trees. If you've been around town or across the state, we're seeing quite a bit of trees that just aren't looking happy. So when you water, make sure that you water deeply and infrequently.
Great, thanks, Scott. And one more picture for you. And this is actually additional information to a question we had last week. This is whether and how you cut back Ito peonies. This is Bartzella. And she has a different suggestion than what we talked about last week. So what do we say here about this one?
Intersectional peonies, they're a great cross between a hybrid and not a hybrid, herbaceous and a tree peony. So we get kind of the best of both worlds. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. You can cut them back to about 4 inches off the ground. They do put lateral buds on those stems, so make sure that you don't cut down to those, leaving the foliage up. There's nothing wrong with it. One thing about intersectionals, they don't have a lot of diseases that some of our herbaceous peonies have, so we don't have to worry about fall cleanup so much.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Scott. Well, we've had the good fortune of having an intern help us with the backyard farmer garden and our pond this season. It's been more than just pulling weeds and hauling mulch. Landscape design and urban forestry major Corey Schumacher got some hands-on experience managing spaces that hopefully will stay with him for the rest of his career. No matter where they end up in a profession or their private lives, they're likely to have a landscape. Students learn so much more if they can actually be immersed in the landscape and have their experience on a daily basis change. And then that helps them learn how to be critical thinkers. Corey is a design student with a minor in urban forestry, and he asked to do an internship this summer because he wanted a little bit more experience in managing spaces, public spaces, and we needed an intern.
Coming into it, I had some expectations of what would occur and what I could learn, and it was just blown out of the water. All the information that you can gain from something like this.
So what he has been doing for the entire summer is learning the management in the backyard farmer garden and in the Kime Hall courtyard.
Every day there's always something new, whether that's something new that needs to happen to the garden or just the garden having something new happen to it, whether that's a new plant flowering. It's fun just seeing how quickly these plants are growing and also how quickly the weeds grow and how quickly I need to manage those. But just all the colors that come in and out throughout the whole summer is really enjoyable to watch.
The fun part about his hands-on experience here is he's got a lot of mentors. So he works with the master gardeners directly on Thursdays. We wander about with him. We actually point out to him the kinds of things that he should be actually observing, and then asking him what he is going to have to do about that, if anything, helping him try to set priorities in a space that is always changing.
It's just learning to adapt to your environment because the environment is never the same. You can kind of predict it, but a lot of it is when it happens, you just got to be prepared to learn about the problem and figure out a solution for it.
You need to understand, gosh, there is incredible beauty, diversity every single day, every single minute.
You know, there's so much opportunity to learn. There's so many different things that can occur throughout the summer that you can be a part of. It's a really flexible kind of environment to kind of pick things that you want to learn about and really dive into learning about it.
To be able to say to a potential employer, I have actually done this. I haven't just read about it in a book. I haven't just sat in a classroom. And that gives them a leg up in terms of actual experience that they can bring to an employer.
It's just a great opportunity. I don't know, the people are great, the environment's great, the plants look beautiful, the flowers are amazing to look at. I've taken a lot of pictures of insects and different flowers, so it's just a great way to be in nature and make it look pretty.
We really enjoyed having Corey around this season. Of course, those experiences will help him as he pursues his career goals. He's in all of my classes this year, so the poor kid this semester. All right, one picture for you on this first one, Wayne. This one comes to us from Omaha. This one is what type of a beetle? Found about 8 on the ash tree. Are these a threat?
I get questions every year about these things when they come out. They're a large beetle, they gather on tree trunks, and everybody's really concerned about them harming the tree. No worries whatsoever with these. These are known as cicada parasites, or, well, these aren't the cicada parasites,
No,
but the prior
ones that
were.
were prior. Yeah.
Cicada parasites, also known sometimes as cedar beetles, they are parasites of cicadas.
Cool. So we have 2 pictures on the next one. One of those already came up, that orange thing. So that was Fairberry. They were cleaning out a patch of buffalo burr, and they found these orange insects scattered around on them. They seem to be eating the leaves and the flowers of the buffalo burr. What are they? And if they take away the buffalo burr, what will they eat instead?
Watch your potatoes.
Oh dear, okay.
These are Colorado potato beetles. Potatoes are not the original host. Potatoes are from South America, and the Colorado potato beetle was native to the Front Range and would occur on buffalo burr, which is also a solanaceous plant, and they're just going back home to the roots.
They can eat all the buffalo burr they want, in my estimation. All right, one picture on the next one, and it's pretty similar, I think, to the next one also, but this one comes to us from Mint Hill, North Carolina. She found this pink caterpillar in the garage. She has a butterfly garden with interesting plants. She wants to know what it is, and is it a raspberry parasta? Parasta?
The answer is no, it's not.
Okay.
Go to the next one because they are one and the same.
Okay, so the next picture comes to us from Fort Calhoun.
Yeah, this one's just a little bit closer up. You can see a little bit more of it. It is a tobacco budworm, and they love all kinds of flowers. And
Lots
they can
of flowers.
lots of flowers, and they can actually turn color based on the flower that they're eating.
Right.
So they were obviously eating something with some pink and maybe some light red tones in it as they were developing to this stage.
And
Was
this,
that guy going to turn yellow now?
or is he colorblind? He forgot what he was eating.
Or they pulled whatever he was eating because it wasn't blooming anymore or looking ratty.
All right, Terry, you have one picture on this first one, and this is, they lost a big spruce in one of the windstorms in Omaha. They want to know what to do with the space that's left. It's becoming a weed garden. She wants to plant flowers in this area, and she needs to know what to do with it between now and spring.
Actually, now is the perfect time to be doing this. So doing soil prep in the fall is actually the perfect time. So I would maybe grind the stump out if you want to have it ground out. Otherwise, you can just leave it there and plant around it and let it just kind of rot away. Maybe put a flower pot on top of it. But do some prep. I would bring in some compost. I would kind of turn it over. I would put the edge around it. Just get it all up and ready for you, and you should be good to go by spring then.
All right, two pictures on the next one. This is a Lincoln viewer who said they had fountain grass, the real fountain grass, in their garden, and then it's surrounded by turf. The fountain grass has seeded itself. When it gets mowed, it shreds. So I think the second picture shows the shred, and they want to know how to get rid of it.
Yeah, we're seeing this a lot where it's moving into some of the turf if you have it as an ornamental. You can spray this with quinclorac, and that will actually kill the fountain grass but not bother your bluegrass or your fescue turf grass. So you could do that. Again, we're getting too far close to the end of the season, so you may be able to get one spray in now, but you probably will have to do this again a couple times next year.
All right, one picture on the next one. This comes to us from Lincoln. Planted mixed wildflowers and got Spanish needles, and wants to know how to get rid of it once and for all.
Oh, well, if I
Can't.
knew that, then I wouldn't have them in my yard either. So, so there is no pre-control, so there is no pre-emerge. That really works very well. I actually did a little bit of research because I've had these in my yard for several years now, and I can't get rid of them. So a post-control, pretty much any broadleaf weed killer will work on these. But really, honestly, the best thing I've been doing is just continually pulling them. Don't let them go to flower. When you do pull them, protect them as much as possible so you don't lose any of those seeds. And that's about what I've been doing. So good luck.
Okay, you have one picture on the next one here, and this one comes to us from a cook. She says she's very allergic to Virginia creeper, has it everywhere. How can she get rid of it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, besides you either hiring somebody else to get it done so you don't have to touch it, going out and really putting gloves on and long sleeves and kind of gearing up. That's really the best thing to do. If you can get to like the bottom and clip it and do kind of a stump control where you kind of clip it and paint the stump and then let the top die if you can get to it. But it looked like it was more of a ground cover area. So I'm not for sure if you'd be able to do that or not. So besides getting somebody else to do it for you, I'm not for sure
What else
to do besides covering up as much as you possibly can.
All right, two pictures for you, Kyle, on the first one here. It's a white pine dripping sap, which might be one of his, but if you look closer at the next picture, it's lost lower branches. It's got kind of some pretty bad holes in it.
Yeah, so there can be a few things that can lead to some of that that excess sap. With some of the insects, the pine beetles, things like that. You can also have cytospora canker that can lead to increased sap production. Typically, that's a little bit wider than this dark sap that we have here. But there is clearly something going on with this tree. I would be curious if there's any needle diseases that you're seeing on there as well, because some of our needle cast diseases, they tend to attack the bottom of the tree first and then work their way up. And that could be why you're losing those lower limbs. But it's certainly going to be a tree that you'll want to keep an eye on here in the future.
All right, 2 pictures on the next one, Kyle. This is an Omaha viewer. She's just wondering what these are, and it's those black things.
Yeah, these are awesome. This is Xylaria polymorpha, also known as dead man's fingers. And it's a pretty common mushroom. You see it kind of all over the country. Grows on all sorts of decaying wood. We see it very often on stumps. A lot of times it looks more finger-like, but when they're immature, they're just kind of round balls. Almost instead of fingers, they're fists. So we'll call this dead man fist. That will soon become dead man's fingers.
All right. 1 picture on the next one. This is a Lincoln viewer. She's got these around an ash, and she wants to know, is there any solution to stopping this from happening?
Get rid of your ash tree.
Right.
Which, might happen for you anyway. But this is an ash tree bolete, and very, very common around ash trees. They actually have a symbiotic relationship with the ash leaf aphid. And so the aphid feeds on the roots, and the mushroom kind of grows a little protective cocoon around that aphid as it feeds, and then as the aphid feeding releases honeydew, and that feeds the mushroom. So as long as you have ash trees, you will have those mushrooms. But one cool thing about them, if you break it in half and push it, the center it kind of stains blue. So it's fun, but yeah, they're unsightly.
All right. 1 more for you. This comes to us from Spirit Lake. She says this mushroom is growing on a tree stump. Please identify.
Yeah, this is one of our most popular ones. This is a chicken of the woods mushroom. Letoporus can be a few different species, but it's a chicken of the woods mushroom.
Perfect. All right. Scott, you have 1 picture on the first one. This comes to us from La Vista. She is one of your master gardeners. This is her bouquet that she thought she would share with us.
Yeah, we're super lucky. Sally brought in an amazing bouquet yesterday. This is called a chrysanthemum. And when you first look at it, it looks very much like a florist chrysanthemum, which is typically not hardy. But this one is called centerpiece, and it is hardy up to zone 3. So it's definitely going to grow here. It's a stunning plant. Sadly, Sally, if you're watching, I had to tear apart your centerpiece to bring it to the show tonight, so I'm sorry about that. But if you get a chance, we have changed our thoughts going to planting more for pollinators, but we still have some really great plants in the garden for cut flowers.
Thank you, Scott. 2 pictures on the next one. This is about 10 miles west of Kearney. It's a burning bush, at least 10 years old, really overgrown. They did cut it back. New growth is spindly. What should they do now?
This is one of the plants that we can't cut back down to the ground. We're going to get really a lot of green growth, spindly green growth, and that's what we're looking at. This year has also been the year of the aphid. We have seen aphids on everything. If it was green, we had an aphid. But what we need to do right now is maybe we could wait until after first hard frost or freeze and then go in and take out some of the most spindliest of the growth down to the canopy level that you're happy with, and then just watch it for next year.
All right, and 2 more pictures quickly on this one. This comes to us from Columbus. She has a desert rose, and it's turning yellow. The leaves are turning yellow. Why?
Desert rose, they're an absolutely amazing succulent plant. Being that they're succulent, they don't like wet feet. That potting mix looks a little bit heavy. What you might want to do is to take it out and incorporate a bunch of perlite into that potting mix to help improve the drainage. Another option is to go with a succulent cactus mix, but we want good drainage, and they just don't like wet feet.
All right, thank you, Scott. Well, we do hope you've enjoyed our edition of A Weather Outlook this season. So here's Gannon Rush from UNL's High Plains Regional Climate Center for his final look for us at next week's weather.
Thanks, Kim. We have a hot start before a shift towards fall-like weather. Friday will be the hottest day of the week, with highs in the upper 80s and low 90s. A cold front will move through on Saturday, but it still might be a little muggy in the eastern part of the state. The rest of the week will be actually kind of shockingly cool, with highs in the 60s and low 70s. As I had mentioned last week, we are expecting a good shot of rain. A stretch from McCook up to the Norfolk area and east could see 2 or more inches of rain. We desperately need this, and this will take place on Saturday and taper off on Sunday. The overall pattern has shifted several times, so the heaviest rain could be moving across the state. So definitely keep an eye on that. And that's your weekly weather forecast. Back to you, Kim.
Right now it is time for the lightning round. Scott, ready?
I guess.
Okay. Your first question comes to us from a Stanton viewer. They have a 3-year-old maple, and the second growth of the season, the newer summer growth, is sort of stunted and small. Any ideas on that?
We were talking earlier, the faucet has turned off with rain. It could just be a little bit of drought stress.
All right. We have a Carney viewer who has grown Tithonia, Mexican sunflower, loves it. Wonder if they can just keep the seeds, scatter the seeds, let it reseed itself, or do they have to start over in the spring?
You can definitely restart the seeds. You could just sprinkle it down, save some of those flower heads in case nothing happens next year.
All right. We have a Lincoln viewer who wonders whether morning glories will reseed themselves. Morning glories.
Yes, they do seed themselves.
Absolutely. All right. We have a viewer who wants to know, is there a drought-tolerant ground cover that we would suggest for using around newly planted conifers?
Sedums, you can't go wrong with them.
Perfect. A peach was grown from a seed from an old tree in a pot. When should it go in the ground?
Yesterday, getting in the ground now.
All right, nice job. Okay, Kyle, ready?
Born ready.
All righty, we like to hear that. Your first one, we're not sure where this one comes to us from, but they're saying they must be near a pasture or something, really rusty brome.
Okay.
And they're wondering, will that rust disease spread to their other ornamental grasses?
It easily could, but you don't worry about it. It's not going to harm the grass long term.
All right. We have a Lincoln viewer who has chokecherries. They have powdery mildew for the 4th time this year. Is this going to actually really cause damage to those chokecherries?
If they are losing leaves, then potentially yes. If the leaves are hanging around, then the chokecherry should be fine.
All right. A viewer has sudden death of branches in their Norway maple. Is that verticillium, or would you need a sample?
I would need a sample. I doubt that it's verticillium.
All right. A Seward viewer wonders whether we can manage aster yellows, since it's everywhere, just by pruning off the aster yellow heads.
Nope.
We have a Lincoln viewer who wonders, are there any diseases that will attack us if we go from really dry to really wet in the span of only 2 days?
Attack us like humans?
No, plants.
Plants. So yes, but most of it ends up with you have a compromised root system, and then all the moisture, microbes go crazy, and the plants just aren't able to defend themselves as much.
Excellent. All right, Terry, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
This is an Arlington viewer who wonders whether it is okay to pull nutsedge now. It's in her garden, and she does not want to spray it.
Yes.
Okay, we have turf already where a stump was ground out. This is kind of like your other question. They have composted, but they still can't get turf. Any ideas on that one?
So I would just continue adding compost. You're most likely going to have to bring in much more soil in there so that there's a nice bed to make sure that the seed bank has a nice base.
All right, this is a St. Paul, Minnesota viewer. They want to plant bulbs in their lawn, but it's got lots of creeping Charlie. Should they spray the creeping Charlie first?
Yeah, I would get rid of the creeping Charlie. And now you're probably going to be almost too late because you're a little bit further north than us, so you should have probably been doing that like the end of August.
All right. We have a honey locust that has sprouted all over the lawn after it got cut down? How do you control it?
Just continue mowing it, and it should pretty much go away on its own.
All right, Wayne, last but not least. You
Been
ready?
training. Let's go.
This is an Omaha viewer. They have a giant mantis, praying mantis. They want to know what the species is, and can you tell the sex by the color of the bug?
First of all, it's probably a Chinese praying mantis, and no, you cannot tell by the color.
All right. How do you tell?
Can be if the abdomen is very swollen this time of year, you know she's a female ready to lay some eggs. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult to tell.
That was 2 questions for you. Excellent. So then we have an Osmond viewer who has one of the smaller praying mantis egg cases, and she's wondering whether the mantis babies have already emerged from that.
If it's fresher, they could be a new one. If not, it's probably old and spent.
All right. This is an Omaha viewer who had little seed-like bugs on her geraniums in July, and now she's seeing little seed-like things under them on her deck. Is that insects? Is that frass? What were they, maybe?
Could be frass. I had someone else send me a picture similar to that, and it was actually seeds coming out of that. So
Okay.
that could be several things.
All right. Will worms die in this dry soil, or did they just go deep?
They go deep.
All right. And I don't know how we passed this around, because 3 of you got it and you lost.
So Terry just can duck.
And now we
Fine.
If I counted correctly, I had 6.
Because they gave you extra points.
Yeah,
She asked me an extra question.
Well-
They still gave
All
you an
right,
extra
you
point.
guys, we gotta go. So we have announcements of great things happening in the gardening world, of course. And we have, first off, the Backyard Farmer Garden Grow-A-Row, which is a wonderful thing still. August 6th to October 8th, Tuesdays 4:30 to 7 in the Backyard Farmer Garden. Our second one is a composting demonstration, which is free. That is Saturday the 28th in Pioneers Park, south of Nature Center. And of course, we also want to have you watch us during the year, but let's talk plants of the week, shall we, Scott?
Yes.
Quick.
This week we have some really great late summer, early fall color. This first one right here is a viburnum called Tea, as in to drink, T-E-A. It's, according to Kim, it's the most we get the most questions about this plant in the Backyard Farmer Garden. It has really great berries for the fall. The birds will love them. Grows about 8 to 12 foot tall. The next plant here is just a goldenrod. We're not sure of the species, but goldenrods are a great plant to have in your garden. They're pretty drought tolerant.
And we love our goldenrod regardless of anything else going on.
Yes, we
So we don't really care which one it is. And we are now going to actually go to a question for Wayne. So Wayne, your very first question next comes to us from Sydney, Nebraska. She has this wad of what she's calling hornets, and she's wondering why they are doing what they're doing and how can she get rid of those.
Good old Sydney, where I grew up. This is actually not a yellow jacket wasp. This is a European paper wasp. So it's invasive. And if you look really closely at the antennae on these, they have those orange tips. So that means it's the males. And males of paper wasps and bees often gather together in groups of males. It makes it easier, so one is more likely to see a passing female.
All right, capture. We have a Waverly viewer who was wondering if this is a wasp, and it's on that celosia there.
It's a potter wasp, yes, so it is a
Fun.
wasp.
A neat one, all right. One on this one too, and they saw this one on their autumn sedum today. She's wondering, is this a honeybee or something else?
So I'll clarify. The greenish one in there, green bottlefly. The other one, a little bit larger with the bluish tint on the abdomen, that's a tachinid fly. Those are parasites of many of our noctuid moths that tend to be pests, so we want those.
All right, one on the next one. This is a West Omaha viewer, and this is similar to the next one, which is also Omaha. They found, what is this on the parsley plant? They did say there were several black swallowtail caterpillars, and the other one said it was on their dill.
Well, these were black swallowtail caterpillars that have sadly succumbed to a disease. This one looks a little dried up, and the other one looks a little dried up as well, so they were at one point a lot gooier than they are now. but they're goners.
They're dead. All right. Unfortunately. Terry, 2 pictures on this first one. This one, he is wondering what this is, and he's talking about the big plant there in the middle with all the seed heads, and is it toxic or dangerous?
Yeah, so this is burdock. It can be if you get it on your skin, it can give you a little detritus on your skin, but it is a biennial, so like how I talked about the mullein earlier, it's going to give you a rosette and then grow up. So you really don't want this, so I would just go dig it out.
All right. You have one question from a Waterloo viewer. Hello, this nasty grass is trying to take over along the curb in the driveway. What is this?
This is crabgrass. So you can put a pre-emergent down. You're going to do that mid May-ish, and then since it's on the edge, this is actually going to warm up a little bit quicker than the rest of your turf. So you may actually want to put a second application down for this one. So,
all right.
But you'll do that in the spring.
2 pictures on the next one. This is a Lincoln viewer. It's in the perennial garden. She said she didn't plant it. It's 5 feet tall, cut off the top, and then it went to seed and grew back. Is it a weed?
Yep, it's a weed. It's horseweed. Just cut it out, get rid of it. You don't want it around too many seeds.
Okay. 2 pictures on the next one. This is a Johnson Lake viewer. Patches of this, what is it, and how can they remove it or control it?
Oh, this is windmill grass. This is actually a perennial. So this is the one where they're going to have the little seed heads that are like tumbling over your turf, and then it's spreading all of its seeds all over the place. Quinclorac would be one, or mesotrione would be one that you would be able to do. Again, maybe 1 application now. Since a perennial, you'll probably have to do it a couple times next year in order to get rid of it.
All right. Kyle, this is a weird one, and I gave it to you because it is.
Oh, thanks.
So that is lightning struck hackberry 20 years ago. The north, it's all sorts of stuff here. They left the trunk. It's peeling like this and looking blackish. What the heck is doing this?
Yeah, so lightning strikes will burn the wood, and so I think there's a combination of some of dark from the lightning strike, but also just a lot of our wood decay fungi are going to work on that.
All right, so kind of cool.
Just, yeah, fun stuff.
All right, Brainerd, your next one, the black holes in the tomatoes, which probably started with Wayne and now they're yours.
It's easily could have. Yeah, I think that we're probably looking at anthracnose on these tomatoes. At this point, there's really nothing to do. A fungicide at fruit set can help, though. You can just cut around those areas and still eat them.
Gross. Okay. Stromsburg, this is also a tomato. What causes these black rings on big beef?
Yeah, so that is most likely tomato spotted wilt virus. Big beef is resistant to it, but it can still get the virus. It just doesn't show as bad of symptoms as it could.
All right, and you have 2 pictures on the next one, which is northwest of Big Springs.
Yes.
We have a lot of information on this one, but he brought you a sample.
He did, so thank you for the sample, Jerry. And this is an example of a tomato that is not resistant to tomato spotted wilt virus. And so Jerry's tomatoes were positive for tomato spotted wilt virus. It's spread by thrips. Very difficult to control thrips. Best thing to do is going to be to control the weeds around the garden, especially dandelions, things like that may be a host for tomato spotted wilt virus. Also, if you use a reflective mulch, that can interfere with the thrip landing.
Excellent, thank you. Scott, 2 pictures on the first one here. This is an Omaha viewer. They're calling it snowbush. This is a hydrangea. Storm took out the old wood, and he's wondering, should she go ahead and cut back those 2 tall canes? That's kind of what's left there.
The best thing to do right now is leave it alone. Those 2 tall canes are still producing energy for next year's plant. It's going to go through a couple of years of the ugly haircut stage, or if you don't want to wait, just take it out.
All right, and 3 picks on the next one, also from Omaha. The first, we've got a PG hydrangea, then we've got a quickfire. Wants to prune severely. Should this be a fall or a spring?
PG hydrangeas, they bloom on new wood. You can prune them in the springtime if you would like to, but right now we want to do gradual pruning, no more than a third, or else we're going to get something that looks like the euonymus.
All right, and your final one for this one is this macrophylla. So he wondered on that last hydrangea, what should he do with that one?
Just leave that last hydrangea alone. It's going to be fine. It may flower for you next year. It might not.
Okay, and this one is actually one of the one that we just went by is actually an Omaha viewer, and that was a Japanese tree lilac. It hasn't bloomed, and the leaves are turning brown. What happened on that one?
Again, the heat came on late this summer, so we're going to see a lot of stress on those plants. It's normal for them not to flower the second, third year.
All right, and the Japanese maple was the same thing, right?
Right,
So,
Japanese maple, heat stress.
heat stress, heat. Well, you know, we've had another wonderful year out at our garden despite some very weird weather. And as is our tradition, we'd like to do a little garden review, show you a full season of growth in 3 minutes. We want to give a big shout out, of course, to Terry, our wonderful master gardeners, and Corey for all the hard work it took to bring that garden to you this year. All right, chop chop, you have one picture on this one, Wayne. This one is, could you identify this insect? What is it?
I believe it's a tiger bee fly.
Good guy
They're
or bad guy?
pollinators. The larvae tend to be parasitic on things we don't want. So
Excellent. And one picture on the next one. This lovely web was on her front porch. Her phone won't tell her, so you can.
grass spider.
Yeah.
The fun part is stick a blade of grass on there and try and dangle it right on the web and see if you can coax the spider out.
Oh, great. Yuck. Okay, we have a Fremont viewer who wants to know what kind of a spider this is.
Well, it looks rather wet, so I wasn't able to tell the markings and get it down to species, but it is one of the wolf spiders. You can tell because the nice top view, and you can see the little box of the 4 larger eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Okay, so Terry, 2 pictures on the first one. This is Malmo, Nebraska. She's got this ground cover, which is one of the sedums. She wants to get rid of it, and she wants to know what the best time is to tackle the project.
She can do it now if she wants to, or in the spring, whichever you want.
And she's going to have to pull and pull.
She's just gonna have to keep pulling it.
All right.
Give it to your friends.
Two pictures on the next one. The first one, she wants to know what that plant is,
It's a phlox.
like a garden phlox. And the second one, they want to know, is this a weed or is this a keeper?
This is a goosefoot, I think, so it's in the amaranth, so it's actually a rogued out plant.
All right, so it's up to them. They can let it flower.
Yeah, they can let it flower and double check, but that's what I'm pretty sure it's what it is.
All right. Kyle, let's see. This is a Norfolk viewer. We've not ever had a hydrangea leaf that looks like this, but
Yes.
apparently she's wondering what she can apply to the leaves to take care of the white spots.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that can be applied to those leaves. I mean, especially at this time of year, it's kind of too late for a lot of disease control anyway. This does look to me like a bacterial leaf spot, which hydrangeas get. Just tolerate it, and then next year you can maybe try like a copper solution.
And sanitation.
And sanitation,
this
yep.
fall. Okay. So this is a Midtown Omaha viewer. This is a box elder tree. She says the tree itself is 30 to 40 feet tall. Will the box elder be okay with this on it?
So this is, I think, I don't know for sure what mushroom this is. I think that it's a turkey tail, Trametes vesicolor. That in and of itself is not going to kill the hackberry, but there's a pretty large wound in that hackberry that this big mushroom is growing out of. And that's what I would be a lot more concerned about. So certainly a tree to watch in the future.
All right, two pictures on the next one. This comes to us from York. This is a walnut, a black walnut, and you can see the fungus. And then I think we have a closer up one on this. And what is that? And is this a goner too?
Yeah, so I think that this is a kind of an old lion's mane mushroom. One of the few mushrooms that will grow on black walnuts. Again, the mushroom itself isn't killing the tree, but it's a sign of not a terribly healthy tree.
All right, and one more, and this one is Hastings, and he just wanted to show us a picture of that beautiful chicken of the woods.
And I think they even said it was going to be Sunday dinner.
They
yep,
did.
That's another chicken of the woods, Letoporus.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
crawl up there and get it. All right, Scott, you have two pictures on the first one. We have about 90 seconds. This is Kennard, Snow Dance Japanese tree lilac, brand new planted. Is this normal or is this tree need a drink?
It definitely needs some water. It needs some mulch around that plant. It is stressed out, the environmental, the heat, but mulch it, water it, and wait.
Yeah, cross your fingers and hope. And we have Gretna viewer for your last ones. We have two pictures on this one. So the first one doesn't really show the brown growth, but it shows this is euonymus, probably reverting a little bit. And the second one shows us what she's actually concerned about, which she's calling these brown growths.
This is normal for euonymus. This is aerial roots. It helps the plant attach itself to surfaces. It does look like you have some brick on the house. That's going to be fine, but if you have any type of siding, it's going to stain it. It's not fun trying to take it off. So don't let it climb up the house.
And if you do let it climb up the house, because I have that, you cannot get it off.
Yeah,
You can take a putty knife, you can take, your soil knife wouldn't even take it off, Gary. So don't let it climb up your house.